sisters. Today we are talking about very special subject, that marriage of soul to God. This is very mystical expression. Many people say that we are married to God. Some people say that they are married to Jesus Christ. In Vedas there is one hymn complete which shows that marriage of man to God. It is given the name Surya Vivaha. Surya is God and Vivaha is marriage. And for soul there are many words used in Vedas, which is Jaya and which is Badhu, that means bride. And there is one word used Pati, which means husband for God. And there is one word used Patni for soul, which is used for bride only. And in Quran also there is one chapter, Al-Nisa, where Nisa means bride. But then there is question, how man can marry to God and how man can marry to God man. There are many questions when this marriage is performed and what is the purpose of this marriage and between whom it is performed and when it is performed. First we take why it is necessary and what changes it is making in man when he is married to God. That there is a spiritual awakening in man and his way of seeing to the world is changed. My master used to say, when girl is coming after marriage to his father-in-law's house, then she does everything in that house for the sake of her husband. So when this marriage is performed within soul and God, then the way of thinking, the worldly things is changed. Man is doing everything for the sake of God. It is the same thing as Master said, that your hands should be with work and your attention with God. And it is a strange phenomena, as Master Eckhart said, of man becoming God. Master Eckhart is talking of two things, that marriage, that man becoming God and God becoming man. So first phenomena, man becoming God, appears at the time of marriage. Then God, soul becomes bride, changes to bridegroom. But the second phenomena, that God becomes man, comes in the form of God-man, that God is coming to the form of man. But in the moment it is sufficient to think that this phenomena of transferring man to God is performed by this marriage. And it is said that you abide in me and I abide in you. These are mere words, but they have real sense when this marriage is performed, because we are having our attention always with God. Till that marriage is not performed, we can go on repeating that I abide in God, but when we are in difficulty, then we are thinking of 100 other things, but not of God. But when this marriage is performed, then there is no other way for the devotee to think of anybody except God. And this is the stage of perfection. So to achieve perfection, this marriage has to be performed. And one more thing, that it is a unification of the two opposites. One end is the worldly material things, and the other end is the spiritual things. And it makes a balance between the two, that we can adjust to both them nicely. So we have not to think how much interest we have to take in worldly things and how much we have to take in meditation. But it is then controlled by inner divine revelations. There are instances in the lives of masters in their making that people said that you are neglecting worldly duties. How you can do that? About Guru Nanak it is said that his father tried to teach him worldly things and was sending him from one place to other, but every time he was failing. And this can be very clearly understood with the sayings of Jesus Christ, that you have not to worry what you have to eat, what you have to do, what you have to speak when you are in need, but it shall be given to you at the right time by the Holy Ghost. So these are the purpose for which this marriage of soul and God is necessary. And last, that you get salvation. Because my master usually used to say, when you are married to somebody, it is sure that one day he will take you away. So this marriage is performed before salvation. But how it is performed, what is the procedure, then it is described in Vedas. Rig Veda 10:85-6 says, Sant controls the devotee with divine revelations to follow the spiritual path. Sant's purpose of controlling the soul is only to guide on the spiritual path. Sant is perfect in wisdom. He is competent to do everything because he is possessed with divine revelations. So he grants these divine revelations to make us perfect as he is. There is no other single action which can make a saint to care you than to have your attention with him. As I say that if there is an electric line and you connect other wire to it, if there is some gap, then it will be fire there and it will destroy everything. So to have the energy from the main line or to have power, we should not have any gap in between our thinking and that of God. And minor disobedience can destroy the whole process. And further it is said in Rig Veda 10:85-6, Sant covers the soul with divine revelation of sound for his benefit. And he destroys the malice of the soul by discovering of divine revelation. Sometimes we say that we were hearing sound and with that we were taken away from doing some wrong things. But sometimes we are not hearing the sound, then it does not mean that he is not caring for us. And the sound current which is covering us is Soma, and it is of two types. One is manifested, one is unmanifested. So when we have our attention with him, we may hear the sound current or not, but we are protected because then it may be unmanifested form which is covering us and which is protecting us. And the effect of that is, Rig Veda 10:85-7 says, Sant draws the soul up with the divine revelation and guides to insight. And this we can feel, even if we are not hearing sound, then we can feel that we are drawn up and we are saved from that situation. So I say that you keep the switch on of your handy so that you can get message when you like. And this keeping the switch on of the handy is that we have our attention with God's man. So it is your duty to keep your attention with him. But when this marriage is performed, then this process of keeping our attention with is finished, but it is automatically with the soul that it has its attention there and nowhere else. And the process goes on, that soul stays in and it is saved from malice and further gathering of the karmas. And the devotee feels happy in withdrawing up than to see the worldly things. When we have no work, then we start thinking of many things. But sometimes you think, oh, what's the use of thinking all these worldly things? Instead of that, we keep our attention in and we are calm. So the whole process starts that our soul is drawn up. It gets divine revelations and it is free from malice. And then it can stay longer inside. And then the second thing is that when this stage is reached, then Saint is graceful and he gives us divine revelations, which gives us wisdom. I may tell you up to this, so Saint is working with his two forms, the physical form and the inner spiritual form. And so it is said that Tera Dekhna Ibadat, Teri Yaad Bandgi hai, that seeing you and remembering you is as good as meditation. I remember once I was coming here and sitting for half an hour in the morning. Then somebody said, oh, it is master looking hour. Because you are not asking any question, you are not talking. But advantage of that is much more because you have your attention with him and you get the radiation directly. And it is said in Veda, when this radiation is there, that it works like a chariot. It takes the soul easily away and soul is not feeling suffering. How soul is carried away in a chariot by God-man. To make it clear, I tell you one instance. One man was very unhappy. He was weeping, crying, and afterwards he was praying to God. And then when he was crying, God appeared to him and he said to God, God said, what you want? And he said to God that I am suffering so much. I want that in those sufferings you are with me. And God promised, yes, it will be. After some days, the man has to journey through the desert. He was going through the desert, weeping, crying, and feeling sufferings. At one point, he was sitting and looking back, and he said, God has promised that he will be with me, but in all this journey I am alone, he is not with me. And the footprints in the desert were showing that only one man was walking there. And then he cried and said to God, oh God, you have promised that you will be with me, but in all this journey I have been alone, you are not traveling with me. God appeared to him and said, yes, I was traveling with you. And then the man said, the footprint shows that only one man was traveling. And God said, yet it is correct, these are my footprints. The man said, then where are mine? And God said that I was carrying you in my arms, so your footprints were not there. So God is there, always with us. We may feel or not, but sometimes we feel, oh, it was not possible without the help of God that we could come over these difficulties and sufferings. And when we have our attention with God, then it is with God-man, then it says that saint gives us tranquility, peace and calmness. And with that soul that transforms in the likeness of God. The question is, by doing all these things, what is the advantage to the devotee? Why is to be married to God and leave all worldly things aside? First thing it is said in Rigveda 10:85-7, God-man draws us up and stays there and unites to God. And here God is mentioned by the word pati, which means husband. The first step is drawing up and second step is uniting to God. And further it is said that he gives us divine revelations which appeases us, and with that unites us to God. When we are full of desires, then our soul is running in this world. When we are appeased, then soul stays in. So this is one process, how God-man is keeping us in contact with God. And further it is said that God-man with his two forms gives us happiness and bliss. When we are looking to him, it is not looking to a man with flesh and blood, but we look him which is with spiritual, and with that our soul is not attached to the body, but it is attached to his soul. This is why the physical form and the spiritual form both are necessary for the progress of the soul. Sometimes we say that when God is controlling us, he reveals himself, then why we have to keep our attention, why we have to keep inside, why we have to do all those things. Of course, God reveals himself, but when our heart is full with worldly desires, where we have the place that he will reveal himself. When we are full of worldly desires, we want God only to fulfill those desires. Masters used to say about one lover, he is very famous, Majnu, that once somebody said, oh, you are thinking so much of your beloved, why you don't think of God? And he said, what will be advantage that God will come to you? And he said, if God is so anxious to come to me, he should come in the form of my beloved. So we as a man wants God for the worldly things. And when soul is married to God, then she wants everything of the world for the sake of her husband. And in this way of thinking is changed, and we are not attached to the world. Up till now it is said that he is our husband, he is taking care, he is doing all those things. But in Rigveda further it is said that when he fulfills all our desires, then he becomes like our father. He nourishes the soul, he fulfills all desires. Sometimes it is said he is our father, sometimes he said he is our brother, sometimes he said he is our husband, then man is lost. What he is to us, Veda says he is our father and our mother. He is our brother and friend. He is our wealth and wisdom. And he is our Lord and Supreme Lord. Or in nutshell, we can say he is all and all to us. So we need the physical form. We need the God-man in the physical form till this marriage is performed. And how we know that this marriage is performed? that we have our attention with him and to nobody else. We stay in, we follow his wisdom, we obey him, and we are not thinking of anybody else except him. We have to eat him, we have to drink him, we have to dance with him, we have to do everything with him. So need of the living master is up to the time this marriage is performed. We have the automatic sound current. Some people say that we are initiated, we have our own master. If he has died, how it matters? Why should we go to other master? And I have to say, you have to go to the physical form of master till you have this sound current inside. If you have not, then you have to go to the living master for progress. Otherwise, you have to take next birth and then you will get perfection. So living master purpose is finished when we have the automatic sound. Not that you are initiated and you don't have any experiences. Think, what's the necessity of running to the physical master, physical form? He is inside us. So to summarize, I have to say, have attention with him. Stay inside. Think of him and nobody else. Because he is jealous God. If you think of anybody else, then it can destroy the whole matter. And accept his wisdom or obey him. His body and soul are not different. They are irradiating the same message. And we, when look to him, we see the physical body. But those who rise above body consciousness, they don't see his physical body, but they see the soul only. I tell you one instance. In year 1975, when I started work of Master's Mission, then I went to Lucknow. Many were thinking that I can be competent master, and others was thinking I may not be. Then there was one old man who was initiated by Baba Sawan Singh, and people went to him and asked what is his opinion. I had satsang in Siddheshwar Mandir. The man was Jamna Das. He came in satsang and was sitting at the far end. And in the end, he came to the stage and said, during whole the satsang, I was not seeing Swamiji, I was seeing only light there. We can say that what we have to do with the physical body of the master, but we can reach to the spiritual form through this physical body. So in Vedas, at many places it is said that the physical body and the spiritual form are for the same purpose. And when this marriage is performed between soul and God, then you get your aim of life, you get salvation. This is why in Quran it is said that man can marry 4 wives. One is divine revelations of light, the second is divine revelations of sound, third is divine revelations of Soma, and the fourth is divine revelations born in flesh, God-man. When marriage is performed, then